recording now.
Okay, so we ready to go?
Yes, we are.
Okay. Well, I'll go ahead and call this Thursday, November 12th meeting of the Otay Valley Regional Park Policy Committee to order. And we'll acknowledge that all three members of the policy committee are present and accounted for. So with that out of the way, let's go to see if there's any public comment. Is there any public comment? Can you hear me okay?
We can. I added the link for public comments in the chat box, so you can check it there, but I also checked right now and I don't see any.
Okay. Seeing none, we'll go on to the first item for action of the policy committee, and that is approval of the minutes for the June 25th, 2020 meeting of the policy committee. Is there a motion for approval?
Motion.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion from Councilman Diaz, seconded by Councilwoman Moreno. Any additions or corrections? If not, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. We'll now go on to appointments for vacancies on the Citizens Advisory Committee. We actually have no vacancies from the County of San Diego, and we have one vacancy from the City of San Diego, and I think Vivian had provided Christina Santa Maria as a nominee for the vacancy for the City of San Diego. Vivian, do you want to go ahead and tell us a little bit about her or make any comments?
Yeah, absolutely. Good afternoon to everybody. Today, I'd like to introduce Christina Santa Maria as a soon-to-be Citizens Advisory Committee member. Ms. Santa Maria is currently a member of the San Diego Audubon Society's Conservation Committee. She has a bachelor's degree in wildlife conservation from Humboldt State University with the focus on native plants and birds. In addition, Ms. Santa Maria has experience working with the San Diego Zoo's Institute for Conservation Research and the Western Ecological Research Center. And as the Otay Valley Regional Park continues to be developed, the input provided by Ms. Santa Maria on wildlife conservation issues is going to be of high value. We are very lucky to have a representative with this level of experience, and I'm just elated to nominate her for the Citizens Advisory Committee. Thank you.
Sounds like she is eminently well qualified. Is Christina, is she on the line by any chance? On the call today?
She should be.
I am. I'm right here. I'm present.
Christina, would you like to say anything?
Just that I'm excited to be here. Thanks for having me. I look forward to seeing what input I can provide, and I actually hope to learn a lot from the rest of you guys. So thank you.
Well, very good. Councilwoman, do you want to make a motion to appoint?
I absolutely would love to make a motion to appoint Ms. Santa Maria to the Citizens Advisory Committee.
Okay. Councilman Diaz, you want to second that?
I will second it.
Okay. I don't think this is going to be a tough sell. It sounds like she's very eminently well qualified. If there is no discussion, all those in favor, please say aye.
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 Motion carries unanimously. Councilman Diaz, there's one vacancy from the City of Chula Vista. Do you have anyone to nominate for that?
We do have somebody. I'm just waiting to get a application from them, some more information, but we have a Hale Richardson from Home Fed Corporation. I think would be a great fit. So we're just waiting to get information from her, and we'll make that nomination at our next meeting.
Well, Councilman, unless things change in your reelection, there probably won't be a next meeting for you or me. I actually know, I think it's Hallie. I think she pronounces her name.
Oh, sorry. Yes. I apologize. Yes, Hallie. Mm-hmm.
I mean, I guess we probably should get an application filled in from her, but I know her personally. She's eminently well qualified. Home Federal is one of the developers of the Otay Ranch, and I think it would be very helpful to have somebody tied in from the development side. Not that they're going to develop in the Otay Valley Regional Park, but I think having those resources sometimes can be very, very helpful. So, so we just maybe you can encourage your successor in the appointment here to submit that for the meeting in January or February, whenever the policy committee meets again. And Councilwoman Moreno, if you're looking for words of commendation, not condemnation, I would highly recommend her for your consideration, but that'll be up to you.
Awesome. Thank you.
All right. Well, we'll move on to project updates, which is item number 3, and we've got a lot of things going on. So we'll start off first with the heritage staging area and trails, and that's something that we're going to hear from the County of San Diego. So Brian Albright, I imagine you're going to start us off on this.
Yeah, I have a number of team members here, Chairman Cox, to go through the list of projects on item number 3. Karen Carr is going to cover the first 2, the heritage staging area and Otay Lakes Campground. And then Nick Farrakhan will kick off item C, the Bike Skills Park and Active Rec 6. So I'll turn it over to Kieran at this time for the heritage staging area.
Chairman and council members, if you don't mind, we do have one item before the project updates. It's a follow-up from a request from the last PCCAC meeting.
Okay,
we do
go ahead.
have a slide for it. At the last PCCAC meeting, there was a request to have a field trip out to the Otay River Restoration Project, and we hope to get that together sometime next year. We're keeping an eye on the COVID updates and want to make sure everybody is safe when we do get an opportunity to get out there. But we did want to announce that there is an Otay River Restoration website, an easy web address to remember, otayriverrestoration.net. And Claudia, I'm not sure, are you able to get into the actual website? If not, it's okay. It's pretty straightforward. Oh, here we go. There's a homepage that tells you a little bit about the restoration project itself. We are now about 300 acres for the restoration. It has the endangered species that are found in the area. There's a tab for that's called About, and it gives you more details about the mitigation bank that the City of Chula Vista is in partnership with Home Fed. We are looking at selling credits hopefully by late spring, early summer of next year. It talks about why the restoration is needed. We've had ICF give an update a couple of times, and they have shown some of the photos and the drone flyovers. And then we also have on this webpage a map that shows you the actual location. You're able to zoom in and zoom out. And on this map, you'll be able to see the what we call the pre-bank site, which was a mitigation for Village 2, 3, and 8 West. It's purple on this map. And then if you can zoom in a little bit, Claudia. Then you'll see the pink area, which was the original size of the mitigation bank. We've now expanded. We are working with Home Fed to expand the site. So the pink and the purple is about 100 acres. When we expand it to the polygon with the black outline, it'll be just about 300 acres. We're looking at wetland credits in the original site of the pink area of 35 wetland mitigation credits, and then another 60 in the black expansion area. And then there is another tab that shows you photos and videos, the gallery. So here you'll find the drone flyovers. The 2 that are posted right now are from January of this year, and I believe you guys have seen those in previous PCCAC meetings. And then there are also photos from the site. They are planning to do another flyover this month, so that should be posted late November, early December. So again, you guys have access to this. Feel free to take a look periodically. And then if you have any questions, just reach out to the OVRP team and we'll make sure to get you answers and updates. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you, Cheryl. Appreciate it. You know, one request, You indicate you're probably going to try to get a tour set up sometime early next year?
Yes, we are looking at what the COVID protocols are and looking at the size and the logistics to get a field trip out.
Well, if you allow former members of the policy committee to go on that tour, I'd love to have the chance to see it firsthand.
Of course, we'll keep you on the invite list.
Okay, thank you. All right, do we want to go into any questions on that from any of the policy committee members?
No.
Okay, let's go into the update then.
Perfect, thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. We have quite a few project updates today. Claudia, would you mind starting the PowerPoint? The main PowerPoint where you would be on slide 3. So like I mentioned, we have quite a few project updates today, and we're going to be starting with the heritage staging area and the I-805 trails. The yellow rectangle you're seeing here in the middle of your screen is the location of the heritage staging area, and this is along Heritage Road just south of Main Street. The county just recently closed acquisition for this project in mid-October, so the parcel is now officially under county ownership. And the next step is to start formalizing the trails in the area, which we'll show here. Next slide, please. Trails in the area include a north and south trail system on both sides of the river, which is anticipated to be about 3.5-mile loop within the area shown on yellow in the map here. And the staging area would be located on the eastern portion of the trail staging area. You can kind of see it just to the right of the screen there. So joint staff have been continuing to work on confirming the specific alignment of the trails, and we're anticipating starting preliminary environmental surveys for this project in this upcoming survey season, and county will serve as the lead agency with both the city of Chula Vista and the city of San Diego as responsible agencies for that environmental documentation. And that concludes my update for the staging area and the trails.
Okay, any questions? I know that the county has, as you mentioned, has completed the acquisition of the property for the heritage staging area. Brian, maybe you can just comment. I know that the funding for the actual staging area hasn't been identified yet, but we're hoping it's going to be maybe in next year's capital improvement project list for the county of San Diego. I'm going to be talking with, actually I had a meeting this morning with my successor, with Nora Vargas. Brian and I are going to be meeting with her in early December to kind of go over a lot of the park projects we have going on, but not only in the Otay River Valley, but a couple of the other river valleys. So you want to say anything about what we've identified as a potential cost and what the potential funding sources might be?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Your summary is accurate. The acquisition has been completed, and we will be including the next phase, basically execution of the project and the county's capital improvement needs assessment, which comes before the board in April. That's a 2-step process, and so it will be a new board of supervisors that's considering that in April. And if approved as part of our fiscal year 21-22 program, it would actually be funded as part of the budget on July 1. And so our intent is to move forward next fiscal year with the project, but as I mentioned, that will be up to the new board of supervisors as part of the capital budget to approve that. And we'll definitely be monitoring that and reporting back to this group.
Okay, very good. And what do we have an anticipated cost for that on the capital side for the construction?
I don't have that right in front of me, and I don't want to guess. I'll quickly ask if any of our team members that are on the call, Karen or Nick, have that in front of them. If not, it's something that I can follow up with by the end of the meeting. Okay.
But we do have money that will allow us to move forward with the design and the environmental and
that's correct.
Up to construction.
The planning components, but not construction.
Okay. Thank you very much. Okay. Sorry. Go ahead. Does anybody have any questions, the other policy members? Hearing none, we'll move on then to the Otay Lakes Campground. Who's going to do that, Brian?
That'll be me again, Chairman.
Okay.
Thank you, Chairman. So the Otay Lakes Campground, we've got the next slide, please, Claudia. It'll be the same PowerPoint. Thank you. So the Otay Lakes Campground, this slide shows an overview of the Otay Lakes area, and the campground is located within the Otay County Park, which is just south of the Otay Reservoir here. The Otay County Park, Otay Lakes County Park, is about 69 acres within the area, just shown in the orangish brown there. And the Boy Scouts have proposed the development of a day use area and an overnight campground facility, and approximately 43 acres of that park that's undeveloped. And the facility will be available for the Scouts and for other groups to use, as well as members of the public. The proposed improvements include camping facilities, a flag plaza, an archery ring, a fire ring, a theater, a zip line, and a challenge course. The construction for the project started in August, so it's well on its way now, and we've got some photos here to share. Next slide, please. This first photo is of the amphitheater and the stage here. So to the right, you'll see the amphitheater and the seating just being developed to the right of the photo. And to the left here, you've got the stage area where folks will come up and they'll speak, and they'll use this as that facility. And you can kind of see the ramp coming in there, and that's for the ADA access leading to the rest of the site. Next slide, please. This photo shows the development of the archery range. This is, if you can envision it, you're looking at the archery range. Folks would be standing on top of that area. It would be fenced in, so it would be safe once it's completed. And that's what we've got here. So the construction is ongoing now, and it should be complete by the end of the year. And that concludes my update.
Okay, any questions? I know that it looks like the funding is all there to complete the campground, and obviously the amphitheater you see there. There's 100 campsites, I think, that will be up above. And then there's the ability to roll into the Otay Valley Regional Park for if they have a jamboree for up to another 400 campers down in the valley. Also, as a part of that project, they have a zip line that I think they're working with a contractor on now to go from the upper level all the way down to where the amphitheater is. So it should be exciting to see that wrapped up, and we'll make sure that there's some sort of a, if we can have a group get together, or at least maybe 6 foot spacing on the zip line, which probably is no problem. Maybe we can have a little fun before the end of the year. All right, if there's no questions on that one, let's go on to active recreation. Yeah, go ahead, Mike.
Yeah, it's a pleasure. I just want to thank you for all the work that you did on that project. I mean, it is going to be an awesome amenity for Chula Vista and the surrounding county area, and it's and even the zip line, I think, is going to be the big draw to that facility, as well as some of the other amenities that we've seen. So thank you for your hard work on it.
Thank you. It's been a effort of a lot of people working together, and again, while the Boy Scouts have been taking the lead on this and been working on the fundraising, it is a part of the lease agreement with the county. It will be made available to other community groups, other organizations, perhaps even team building efforts. If there's some businesses that want to rent the facility for team building, that's certainly something that can be accommodated. Equestrian groups, I know that Mark Kukacek I think has been eyeing the opportunity to have some trail rides, so it should be a nice amenity. Thank you. Active Recreation Area 6. This is the Bicycle Skills Park. So this is, again, a great example of the collaboration that goes on. I always like to point out the property is owned by the city of Chula Vista. It's in the city of San Diego, and the county's provided not all the money, but a good part of the money to make it happen. So I don't know who's going to take the lead on this, whether it's the county or the city.
That'll be me. That'll be me, Supervisor. Am I on, Claudia? Nick Farrakhan.
You are.
Thank you. Good afternoon. My name is Nick Farrakhan. I'm a park project manager with the County of San Diego Department of Parks and Recreation, and I'm very happy to be managing this great project and providing today's update. We completed design in summer and completed the bid process last month. From a list of pre-qualified contractors, we have selected a low bidder, and we are now in process of issuing the notice to proceed. Claudia, could you please show the next slide, which would have followed Kieran's last slide? I think just one more, please. And there's our master plan. And if you could please go to the next slide now. Thank you, Claudia. As a first step toward beginning the construction phase, the Department of Parks and Recreation is hosting a kickoff meeting with the cities next week. Construction will take 4 months, and the project is scheduled to open in mid-March of 2021. And that concludes our update. Thank you.
Okay, any questions? I have to tell you that I was very honored to be invited to the Chula Vista City Council meeting last Tuesday, where they gave me a very nice proclamation, but even the frosting on the cake was they announced that they're going to be, I guess, naming this Bicycle Skills Park. I don't know how the verbiage is going to come out, but it's going to be, I guess, named in recognition of me. So I very, very grateful to the city of Chula Vista for that that recognition. So thank you once again, Councilman Diaz, and your colleagues.
It was our pleasure, Supervisor.
Any questions on this one? Okay, we'll move on then to the next item, which is community garden and emergency shelter. And this is a project of the city of Chula Vista.
Hi, good afternoon, everybody. Claudia, would you mind putting the slides up?
Yes, one second. No. 1 second. Sorry about that.
No worries. Here we go. Okay. Well, again, good afternoon, everybody, and thank you for having me here. My name is Angelica Davis. I'm a senior management analyst and project manager with the Chula Vista's Housing Division. I was asked to join you today to provide you with an update on the progress on our homeless bridge shelter, and I'm very happy to be here to do that. Next slide, Claudia, please. The proposed homeless shelter is located at 205 27th Street. I included the map on the top to give you a perspective of where it sits along the OVRP area. So it's off of Main Street and it sits along Favor and Broadway. And while the site is owned by the city, there is currently a deed restriction on the property, which can cause a delay or perhaps prevent the development of the site. Most of the land, as you know, adjacent to the OVRP will either be environmentally sensitive or will have some sort of restriction or covenant that requires the land to remain consistent with the OVRP uses. But have no fear, our city attorney and our city manager's office is currently coordinating with the state to come up with a solution that would allow for the removal of the restriction. So we are confident that we'll be able to address the state's concerns and hopefully proceed with the proposed plans. Next slide, Claudia, please. So in case you're not familiar with the sprung structure, here's a picture of it. So it's pretty massive. The size is 192 feet by 60 and a height of 26. This picture is the exact structure that we will be using. It was previously used by the city of San Diego and the Veterans Village. What you see here is that Chula Vista's HOT team, housing staff, and engineering staff during the site visit for a final inspection and assessment prior to its deconstruction and delivery to the city of Chula Vista, where it's sitting safely right now. Next slide, please. So before we begin building the shelter, we have to prepare the site with the basic infrastructure, which was lacking. Off-site, we will be installing new curbs, gutters, sidewalks along Faber Street and 27th Street. There will be 2 entrances to the facility, one off of 27, mostly for deliveries, and then one off of Broadway. Sorry about that. Before I was involved in the project, there was some discussion about a community garden. I was not involved in those conversations. Then COVID hit, and now here we are. But what we did want to do is make sure that we left an area designated for the community garden in the event that we would be moving forward. And so the total cost for all the improvements, including the reconstruction of the spring structure, is approximately $3.5 million. And that includes the purchase of the shower, bathroom, and laundry facilities as well. Next slide. So what is sorry about that. So what is a bridge shelter? And essentially it's that, right? It's a stop and connection for persons who are experiencing homelessness with temporary housing and wraparound services to put them in place, to prepare them for permanent housing and to stabilize them. So it's important to note that while the city's HOT team will always have a presence at the facility, the operation will be left to a provider. So we're currently drafting the request for proposals to contract with an experienced provider to manage that day-to-day operations on behalf of the city. So we are hopeful that we will also have the opportunity to partner and enter into memorandum of understandings with our neighboring cities to face these challenges together, because as we know, this isn't a problem unique to Chula Vista or San Diego. It's a regional problem that we need to address together. Next slide, Claudia. So here's a tentative timeline for the development of the shelter. So with the design done, we are focusing our attention in drafting and completing the RFP for the operator. If all goes well, we should have somebody on board by December, while construction will be done through January, and hopefully an opening date of February. And of course, this is contingent and tentative upon other impacts, such as the weather and the resolution of the site. So there's so many pieces that have to come together to make this happen. Coordination with our neighboring cities and providers is crucial in making sure that this is a success for the region, not just Chula Vista, which is why I'm so appreciative to be here and presenting to you today. So with that, that concludes our quick report on the shelter and where we are today. And I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Do you know the issue in regards to whether this would be an allowable land use on this property because of the funding source? I believe the funding source is the State Coastal Conservancy, or was it a different funding source?
That is correct. And I do have Leilani Hines, my housing manager, who has been working closely with the state to answer additional questions in regard to the site specifically.
Do we have an idea on when maybe there would be some resolution of that? Because obviously that's going to impact the schedule you've laid out here.
Absolutely. Leilani, are you on, or I could answer the question?
No, I'm on. This is Leilani Hines, the housing manager for the city of Chula Vista. We have been working with the state and the Coastal Conservancy on this issue. We will be setting forth, we've got an alternative for them that they'll be considering at the staffing level. And then, of course, should that alternative be the one that the Conservancy is comfortable with, it would likely require some approval at their level as well. So we anticipate at their next meeting, not in November, but during the winter or early January, that we would have that ironed out with the Coastal Conservancy. But at this point in time, we feel that the alternatives that we're looking at for that are acceptable to the state. We would just need to go forward with the formal actions.
So is that going to impact the schedule then? Can you move forward before you get that approval?
I think in the interest of being conservative that we would not necessarily want to do that. We would want to wait until we have a thorough go-ahead from the state.
Okay. Well,
we are moving, as Angelica discussed, we've moved forward with the site design. That's been completed. We are moving forward with the RFP and hope to have that completed. And so once we are at a comfortable level with the state and we've reached negotiating terms, et cetera, I think that we can hit the ground running and all of these issues can occur concurrently.
Have you selected an operator, or is that a part of the process you got to go through?
That would be part of the process that we would go through.
Okay. Well, I really want to commend Councilman Diaz because I know he's been a strong advocate of providing this housing for the homeless. I have to tell you, trying to site homeless facilities is probably one of the most difficult jobs for any elected official to deal with. I know Councilwoman Moreno has dealt with this issue. I've dealt with this issue. Obviously neighborhoods are not, unfortunately, it's not something that most neighborhoods want to welcome. And Councilman Diaz, I give you a lot of credit and kudos for the hard work that you put in and trying to see if this could be cited here. I wish you luck on this. I know the county, I think, has some money set aside for the community garden. We were looking at the entire site originally as a community garden site, and obviously with this opportunity, the community garden would be reduced down to, I believe, as I recall, about an acre. And Brian, maybe you can tell me if we have some money available to do kind of planning for the community garden, or if that's something that's going to have to be dealt with in a subsequent appropriation from the County of San Diego.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We do have some funding, as I recall, available to put towards this project. Again, I don't recall what the exact amount is, but after we get to the next item, I will have it for you and can report on that.
Okay. Councilman Diaz, do you want to go ahead and say a few words, since this has really been something you've been working on?
Yes, and you're right, Supervisor Cox. This is always a very bringing something like this into the community can be challenging for electeds. Although I will tell you that I still remember the date, November 13th, when I did the tour at the Newton Street project with the Alpha project, and I remember walking away after seeing how they operate, the love that you see there, the structure, the discipline that they require, the cleanliness. I remember walking away and telling my staff member, we're going to do this in my district. We're going to do it. We're going to find a place. And I know that we already had kind of started the ball rolling on the community garden. But this is one of those things, I think, where we have to look at as policymakers and really see, where we can do the best for our community. And I think that location for that type of project, it was a perfect place for it. And even after all this, we have heard no complaints from the community. I think it is situated in a great place. We've had so many calls for service in the Otay Valley area, whether it's debris in our rangers are picking up literally thousands of pounds of debris from there. I think the Alpha project will allow us to keep the river valley clean, provide jobs, provide temporary shelter, and transition these folks into permanent housing. I think it's a great location, and we've got the funding. And hopefully we'll have a good partner after the RFP process gets completed. And really, I can't wait to see it open. And I know that our HOD team has told me, Mike, this is the big step that we have to take, that every community has to take in order to really start addressing the homeless problem. So, yeah, I'm this is one of those projects where you look back and you go, I think this is where we're going to make a difference. And and I think, well, thank you, Supervisor Cox.
Councilwoman Moreno, do you have any comments you want to make on this one?
No comments. Thank you.
Okay. Again, this will be a facility that is really not just for the city of Chula Vista. It'll be available for people in South San Diego and our surrounding communities. So it'll be I guess a sub-regional homeless shelter. So again, kudos to the city of Chula Vista and Helica and Leilani. Thank you for your presentation.
Thank you.
Move on then to item number 4, which is parcels east of 805, and this is going to be presented by the City of San Diego.
Hello, this is Laura Ball with City of San Diego Open Space Division, and you got it, Claudia, thank you. This first slide is just a reminder of what we presented to you all back in June at a request to look at parcels east of 805 and kind of their ownerships. And so this is what we presented back in June, showing the private parcels primarily in kind of the maroon color and also in the turquoise. And so if you would advance one more, Claudia, we went back and then looked at where parcels would be good for or recommended for acquisition into the OVRP. Sorry about the noise. If you can hear the trolley. So staff went and looked at the private parcels in June and have since then been identifying parcels. And so in green here we've zoomed in more on the western end of the area in question, and have identified 25 potential parcels for acquisition. The parcels that have been proposed have trails from the OVRP concept plan and or active rec areas in the concept plan. And of these, we've certainly identified, kind of are going now to one further step and identifying which of these 25 parcels are higher versus lower. For some parcels, such as V and M on this map, that there are trail assurances that per an letter of agreement with HomeFed, the owner of the parcels, trails will be guaranteed. So they may move down in the priority listing. And the same may be true for some of those smaller parcels on the western end, labeled kind of M, Q, N, O, C, and D. On the north side of the river near Main Street, because we believe we have trail assurances and we would not need to manage the whole parcel. Parts of those parcels are owned and already in development. For instance, for some of the auto dealerships along Main Street there. I would say that a couple of the higher priority parcels are like I, which is just this puzzle piece out in the middle of Dennery Canyon on the south end there. Other lower priority parcels may be kind of J, K, and L over on the eastern end, because these parcels are, on a finger canyon, and then also they were not identified in the Otay trail alignment study as a feasible alignment, so they might move down in the priority. So I believe that concludes the main part of my presentation, but if you have questions, like I said, we will be, updating this as time goes on. It's been an interesting exercise for staff, and I think it will have value as we go forward to prioritize when we have funding available for acquisitions.
Will any of those parcels that are shown on this map be deeded over as a result of the Otay Ranch development, or are these all separate from the Otay Ranch development?
Cheryl or Chula Vista, would you like to answer some of that?
Yes, so the parcels east of Heritage Road are part of the Otay Ranch Preserve. And the villages are required to mitigate within the preserve. However, they can mitigate anywhere within the preserve. So Homefed does own the majority of land in this area. However, they also own land in the Proctor Valley unincorporated area. So we can't direct them where they're going to mitigate. And so they can leave these pieces last, or they can do it ahead. You know, they can prioritize to convey it. My thought is that they will hold on to this because we do, you know, as we meet with them and partner with them, we do see a vision of extending the river restoration downstream. So my guess is that they will convey lands in the Proctor Valley area first.
Okay. I know this was an item that was requested by Councilwoman Moreno. Vivian, do you have any comments you want to make or questions?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, first and foremost, I want to thank staff for this presentation. The true intention of my request for this information is for us as a body to start thinking about what parcels we're going to go after. It's my understanding, and as it was mentioned earlier in the meeting, parcels in OVRP, as we know it, OVRP proper, were purchased with state funding. So that was my intention for requesting the information. I had similar questions regarding Homefed and exactly what parcels they owned. And if they were going to mitigate here as opposed to, mitigating anywhere else. But thank you, Cheryl, for the response. Now, Cheryl, you made a comment that all the parcels east of Heritage. Can you identify the parcels based on the letters that were provided on this presentation that you were referring to?
I don't know if you can see the amphitheater. It's right next to the letter A, E, and F, kind of border Heritage Road. So everything east of A, E, and F.
A, E, and F. Everything east of A, E, and F. Okay, thank you. I think this obviously is giving us a glimpse of what parcels are located in private property. And I would request that at the next meeting, we might have a little bit of a catching up to do with our new supervisor and all that and all that good stuff. But I'd like for staff to make a recommendation on what parcels we as a body should go after. We've missed out on really good opportunities regarding the purchasing of these parcels with some of the funding that the state has had available. Obviously, we're going into an economic downturn, or what seems to be, right, an economic downturn. But I really want this body to be really focused on acquiring parcels with state funding. So if staff could narrow down the list so that then we can go after the funding at the next meeting, please. And then another question that I have, I apologize and thank you for this, because I really do feel this, OVRP is a gem in the South Bay, right? As somebody who was raised in the South Bay, as somebody who lives in the South Bay right now, I see the potential of what Otay Valley Regional Park can be and what it is today, but what it can be. I really see it as a mission trails of the South Bay. But in order for us to do that, we obviously need to acquire the land. Now, there was a comment made to my staff about purchasing the trail as opposed to the parcel. Can you expand on that?
I can respond to that one. So many of these parcels are already designated as open space or preserved land. So the possibility of developing them is non-existent. What we are looking for is trail access and recreational trail easements. For the majority of the lands in the city of Chula Vista, the villages they were conditioned to require connections down to Otay Valley Regional Park, as well as some improvements. However, they were conditioned per ownership of the application. So there are some gaps in the north of the river as well as south of the river that were not captured in those applications. So some of that is shown in green here, and we can be more specific at the next meeting of where those actually are located.
Okay.
But the lands are preserved, they are open space.
But and Cheryl, the way that we did OVRP west of the 805, we actually purchased the parcels, or are there trails that we own in parcels that we don't?
I believe in the western portion of OVRP, there are parcels that are owned. Some of the money came from the Coast Conservancy for those parcels. So at minimum, we would like the recreational trail easement. If there is funding to acquire the entire parcel, that's absolutely something that's an option.
So I'm gonna scratch a little harder. Do we? You just mentioned purchasing a trail as opposed to a parcel. Does that exist in OVRP proper right now? Is there parts that where we own the trail but not the parcel, or do we own all the parcels outright west of 805?
West of 805, we do have areas where we have easements across private parcels where the trail crosses it in order to make a complete trail system west, and we do not own the entire parcel.
Okay, so there's precedent for this is basically what I was trying to figure out. Okay, yes. Awesome. Well, if as I mentioned, thank you so much for the questions. I'm sorry for the answers. And at the next meeting, if we could start narrowing down this list, and obviously staff, you guys are the experts, so that we could start lobbying Sacramento for some of this money. We have a lot of good leaders from San Diego that are in Sacramento that I'm sure could help us out. So thank you, Chair, for the opportunity to speak on this, and thank you to staff.
All right, thank you, Vivian. Thanks for bringing this forward. I noticed in taking a look at the minutes from the last meeting, there was a reference to the city of San Diego is pursuing through the Wildlife Conservation Board a stream flow enhancement grant. Have we gotten any feedback whether that's been granted, or what's the status of that request?
We're still waiting to hear. We haven't received a word one way or the other.
Well, I guess no news is no news. But we wish you well on that one. Any other questions, Councilman Diaz or anybody else? Okay, if not, if I could, in the minutes from the last meeting, there was also a question that was posed to the city of Chula Vista. I think somebody had raised the question about the number of homeless in the OVRP. Do we have any idea what that number is, or is that just so difficult to really make a determination of?
Chairman, there will be a presentation later in the agenda from our host.
Okay. All right. Very good. Thank you, Laura, and thank you, Cheryl, for the information on item 4. Item 5, we had a group called the Friends of the OVRP that kind of has gone in disarray over the years. There's only one person that is control of at this point on their board of directors, and he has not been, how can I put this nicely, amenable to providing any transfer of documents, or there may even be some funds that were donated, but at this point, having tried to see if we could get the Friends of the OVRP resurrected, I have to tell you I've struck out. So I know one of the things we asked our staff to do was to see if there's some alternatives, and I think Brian Albright was going to give us a report on that.
Yes, I will, Mr. Chairman. And if I could, a quick follow-up, as I promised on item 3D first, confirmed we have $100,000 set aside for the planning of the community garden. And then moving on to a quick report on our efforts to identify a 501 organization that could potentially replace the Friends and serve as a foundation that would support the regional park. The city and the county have been working collaboratively to approach a couple of different organizations, one being the San Diego Parks Foundation, which the city has taken the lead on, and another being the San Diego County Park Society, which the county has taken the lead on. San Diego Parks Foundation is a relatively new organization formed late in 2018, still a bit fledgling and trying to get their feet underneath them and their resources. and grow their membership base. And they were not prepared at this time to take on the role of supporting OVRP. However, the San Diego County Park Society has been around much longer, since 1980, and is serving in a similar capacity for more than 25 different parks throughout the county, and is interested in assuming this role. And I actually invited the president of the Park Society, Harold Hambris, to sit in on this meeting today as a member of the public and just kind of get to know some of the players and listen to the project updates and further expand his knowledge about some of the great work that we're collectively doing to implement this vision. And he's on, and I didn't really prepare him for this. I don't know if he's able to unmute and say anything if he's still listening, but I did want to make his introduction and thank him for the Park Society's willingness to take on this role.
Well, great. Would you like to say a few words?
Harold, are you there?
I'm trying to be there. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay. Let's see. I know I'm on video or not, but again, looking forward to working with the Otay Valley Regional Park. We're excited. We heard from Kieran about a month ago. We talked about this a little bit, and we talked to Brian about it extensively, and we're excited about making this part of our park area that we continue to get involved with. We're in fact, interesting enough, there is some monies in our account for Otay Regional Park. It's not a large amount, but it's we use it for some special events that might be occurring, and we're available to those funds requested to use at Otay Valley Regional Park. And we're looking forward to working.
Very good. Well, if there's no objection, what we'll try to do is maybe direct some of the folks out in the community that want to get involved that aren't a part of the Citizens Advisory Committee. I know we have kind of a loose-knit group of folks called the Friends of the OVRP, and I really believe we have a lot of friends. A lot of them we may not even realize. So maybe there's an opportunity, and I don't know whether there's any of the the citizens that are involved in some of the Friends projects over the years. I know we've had a number of people that have volunteered their time on cleanups and setting up bicycle rides and things like that. I don't know whether any of them are on the phone or Zoom call today, but if they are, certainly want to afford them an opportunity to weigh in. Is there anybody from the Friends that want to make a comment? I don't see any hands up, so unless there's opposition, I would suggest we allow this to kind of move forward with Brian and Harold, and obviously the new policy committee that'll be constituted in January. That's probably one of the issues they can hopefully pick up and make some decisions on. But Harold, thank you for being a part of the call today. We appreciate that. Thanks for your interest.
Thank you.
Brian, do you have anything else on that item?
Nothing additional on that item, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, then I guess we'll move on now to the ranger reports.
All right, I think that's me again for the day. This is Laura. Mika is unable to be with us. She's doing an out-of-class assignment for a little bit here, but she did provide me with her ranger report for the last couple of months. So we can go to the next slide if you want. Currently in the Western OVRP, we are still following safety protocols that have been in effect and were in effect at the last meeting in June. OVRP is open for passive purposes only, including walking, jogging, hiking, bicycling, and for members of the same household to congregate only. Parking lots are open to full capacity. then we've, maintained and are posting the protocol safety signs at all of the staging areas. And we are also implementing new COVID-19 regulations that became effective at the beginning of August. For routine sanitation, including at of the restroom facilities and so on. We're ensuring that city employees and members of the public can observe these enhanced sanitation services. Next slide, please. Just following up for doing a little bit of a wrap up for the year on community outreach. We, like you can imagine, were impacted by COVID closures, and so we had a couple of events early on in the year that have previously been reported. And in July, there was a Latino Conservation Week hosted by the San Diego Audubon Society that promoted the monarch butterfly project on YouTube. Next slide, please. In terms of natural resource management, we are in the third year of our monarch sanctuary and have had good success with some of the plants that we've planted. Up to 93% of the container plants have survived at Poji Creek and 68% at the ranger station. We have a number of nest box projects that are underway. We've replaced a number that have been vandalized at Marston Middle School and have currently about 50 nest boxes overall. And we have a Ridgeway clapper rail population at Hollister Pond and a Parrot Heart Pond, and a pair with 2 chicks at the seasonal pond below the Finney Overlook. Finally, we had some burrowing owl success with 2 pairs that successfully reproduced out in the very western end of the OBRP, the westernmost dot on the map here. And Meek also wanted to mention that we also have a least Bell's Vireo population. During COVID, we haven't had a probation crew out on site, but we're hoping to transfer over to a different contract to accomplish some of the tasks that county probation previously has done. And so instead of county probation, we've been focusing on some herbicide applications and to manage annual and perennial invasive populations. Next slide. For park maintenance and management, we've abated quite a bit of trash. Let's see here. I believe there's 320 cubic yards of trash was estimated by the rangers and put in dumpsters, and also an additional 60 cubic yards of trash and vegetation are removed every week approximately by Alpha Project. Next slide. So this is going to the question of homeless camps. We've done some mapping here. This, I don't think, is a complete picture, but does show where homeless camps have been positively located. SDPD enforcement has identified 57 locations, and I believe Chula Vista PD identified 11 locations, but I think that there will probably be more detail on that with the later presentation here. Also wanted to give an update on the fires that everybody has heard about. Here's the location of where fire department has identified where they've gone into the fires. It's the closest street location, not the actual location within the park itself of the fires, from July to October 2020 of this year. And I believe that is the final slide on the presentation. Are there any questions that hopefully I can answer, or if not, we can get in touch again with the actual ranger staff when we have the opportunity and get back to you.
Okay. Just out of curiosity, what you've been putting on the screen, is that being made available so we can print those out?
We can certainly, I think, send the PowerPoints for today's meeting.
Yeah, that would be helpful. It's kind of hard to see on the screen.
Okay.
Okay. Any questions of Laura for the City of San Diego? Seeing none, we'll move on to Lauren for the county's report.
Thank you, Chairman. Good afternoon. Next slide, please. As of September 30th, we reopened our playground with limited capacity. We take measures to sanitize the equipment daily. Also, our outside reservable areas have reopened for gatherings of up to 3 family units. Next slide, please. The County of San Diego's measure to provide an outdoor space for fitness businesses has benefited a local dance studio, The Dance Spot. Reservation fees were waived so this nearby business could continue teaching students at the park. From August until recently, the park has been a beautiful backdrop for these dancers every weekday from 2 to 6. The dance studio still holds class here on Fridays. We are happy to provide a safe outdoor platform where the park and a local business can both benefit. Next slide, please. Here's some more photos of the dancers. Since group hikes and community events have been on pause, we've come up with some creative ways for families to independently explore the park. Pictured here are hidden mini rangers on trails, each with a nature-related question that will spark conversation about the park and nature. We've also created a scavenger hunt and other new ways families can safely explore the park during this time. Next slide, please. And that concludes my report. Thank you.
Okay, are there any questions of Lauren? If not, thank you very much. Appreciate that. Move on now to the Citizens Advisory Committee report. John Zarum, I believe, is the chair of the Citizens Advisory Committee. I think I saw him on earlier. John, do you have anything you want to share with us?
Can we introduce Sergeant Pinedo from our homeless outreach team before we move on?
Certainly, yeah. Let's go ahead and do that.
We wanted to include them in this presentation.
Okay, go ahead.
Thank you so much, Harold. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to speak this afternoon. My name is Sergeant Ernesto Pinedo. I am in charge of the homeless outreach team here in the city of Chula Vista. And I'm going to present a brief presentation to just demonstrate and show the efforts that the team has taken in and around the OVRP So prior to the most recent outreach data we completed on October 12th of this year, so a couple weeks ago, been 2 large-scale cleanup operations scheduled for the area with the city of San Diego and county. However, due to different situations, the cleanup on those 2 major events did not take place. And so knowing that that area had not been cleaned since before September of 2019, and the high number of calls for service, email, telephone calls, and all those means of communications, I received many complaints about that area. It was time for us to take action and do a day of outreach enforcement. And the other thing, the number of fires. I know Laura Ball mentioned the fires, and we've had, according to our fire department, well over 40 over the last couple of months. So if we can go to the next slide, please. And if I may add, this information provided in this presentation is specific to Chula Vista jurisdiction only. We did not do a combined effort with the other cities. I wanted to go out and walk and visually see the Chula Vista jurisdiction to see what the issues that we were facing. On that day, October 12th, the outreach took place. Several members of our community and partners were out. Chula Vista PD Hot Team, Chula Vista Housing Division, Alpha, Chula Vista and San Diego Park Rangers were there. Mika was there with us. Our commission was there. Health and Human Services were there. County Nurse, ESD, Family Health Centers of San Diego. Next slide, please. So we covered the entire OVRP, like I said, in Chula Vista jurisdiction. So the issues that we encountered immediately, and we've been having issues for the last several months, are in the areas where Gate 22 and Gate 23 are located. For those of you that are not aware where it's at, Gate 22 is approximately quarter mile west of Heritage Road on Main Street, and Gate 22 and Gate 23 are separated by about 900 feet from one another. So as you can see, Gate 22 prevent vehicular traffic from getting in there, but it does not prevent pedestrian traffic from going in. And that's where we're having issues with the homeless going in there and setting up encampments. And you'll see pictures here in a little bit. Next picture, please. Next screen. So here you see Gate 23, just a chain link fence that really it's been defeated many times. And this is where we believe, and we have evidence that vehicles are going in there and not only dumping trash off, but they're also driving vehicles in there. They're leaving them there. Over the year, we have towed a total of 5 cars out of there. 2 of them have been stolen. We towed a motorcycle from there. And on this last event down there, we found a panga boat that's still there that as soon as we have time. Next slide, please. So this is a picture, as evidence shows, a picture of, it appears to us that people are driving by and simply just dumping the trash easily. It's an area that's at night. The lack of presence, I know from our perspective, from the PD, that we have not gone in there as often as we should. But we are going to be working toward getting in there and having more of a presence in the OVRP. Next slide, please. So one of the distinctions that we made is, so there is quite a bit of trash and debris in the OVRP. However, there's a clear distinction between encampments and trash. And encampments, we found several. However, we also found many more piles of trash that appear to be encampments, but there's no one living there. And you can tell that the trash has been for some time. And you'll see the numbers at the end with of this presentation of how many true encampments we found and how many homeless people we found on that day. Next slide, please. So just as an example of the complexity of these encampments down there, what you're looking at is a picture. And if you see the structure, there's two like wooden boxes. The one on the left, it's actually a converted shower. That's where the homeless were showering. The one on the right is actually an outhouse. So, you know, they are these encampments with you know, sophistication and complexity, and just killing the vegetation in that area. Next slide, please. So this was an encampment that we determined is currently the largest encampment down in the OVRP. It is located between gate 22 and 23. It flew the drones in that area several times. However, we were not able to see it because of the thick vegetation that covers it. And we were told by Mika that it's a lot of the invasive species that's growing in that area that's kind of concealing this encampment. As you can see, the encampment itself was dug into the ground. It had 2 beds inside of it. They have a generator. They had cutting tools. The lower picture, it's actually set up sort of like a dining area. There's a table, there's a stove, a green box that you see there is actually a refrigerator. And beyond that, there was additional storage containers within the camp. I mean, this was only 3 pictures of the probably 7 pictures that I took from that one encampment. Next slide, please. And as we made our way through the encampment, the one item that stood out to us quite a bit was the amount of trash, tires, excuse me, that we found down there. So you see how you have multiple piles of tires. I counted probably about 10 piles of this size scattered throughout that OVRP area, which, you know, obviously poses not only a hazard, but a fire danger. If one of these go up in flame, it's really going to be a tough task for our fire department to handle. And so, you know, trash like this was on site as we did our outreach day. Next slide, please. So when we're talking about numbers, so the total active encampments that we located were 18, and that's where we found actual homeless individuals staying or walking out of. The homeless encounter that we counted that day was 23. However, we know that this number fluctuates because you know, they may see the police going towards their direction, and they may walk away from us, because I know of them walked away from us, walked into San Diego's jurisdiction. Because of the danger, and we had many providers with us, we did not follow and engage them in any type of foot pursuit. We just allowed them to leave without engaging them. So we said 18 encampments were located, 23 homeless were spoken to, and services offered by our many partners that were with us that day. We found 2 vehicles. One of them was stolen that day. We found 1 motorcycle and 1 Pango that's currently. And then, like I mentioned, approximately 10 piles of just tires, tire threads, and just tire remnants were found in the OVRP as well. Next slide. I think that was my last slide. I'm more than happy to answer any question anyone may have.
Thank you very much, Sergeant Pineda. Appreciate the report. Any questions of the sergeant? I know I got some information about a very tragic situation. A young woman was found murdered in the Otay River Valley. I think the murder was done sometime in the latter part of August, and there's been an arrest. I'm not sure whether it's City of San Diego or Chula Vista, and I guess it's not even sure. Like, the investigation's going on. Took place in the Otay River Valley, or the body was just dropped off there. But I know that the mother of this victim, I know, is circulating a petition calling on local officials to do something to make the park safer. I mean, obviously, we have had a recurring problem with homeless in the Otay Valley Regional Park from the very beginning. It's kind of ebbed and flowed. I think, Councilman Diaz's efforts to have a homeless facility there hopefully would provide at least an alternative to a lot of these people that are homeless in the Otay Regional Park and the surrounding areas. But probably a lot of them will not take advantage of that, unfortunately. Sergeant Pineda, I don't know whether you have any additional information you can share with us on this one situation, or whether that's in the city of San Diego jurisdiction, but I know that, we obviously extend our sympathies to the family of the woman who was murdered. Sergeant, do you have anything to share on that?
Supervisor Cox, I know it's still an ongoing investigation. They did a couple search warrants last week trying to get additional. Unfortunately, I don't have additional information in the case, but I can speak on some of the efforts that City Chula Vista PD and fire are taking. We're working with fire to clear some of that invasive species. And do a little bit of clearing the actual roadways up there to allow us the accessibility in there to be able to provide more of a presence in the OVRP. So we're working with them to get that completed as soon as we can.
Well, I know it's a collaborative effort between the City of Chula Vista, the City of San Diego, and the county, and I think the more public utilization we get of the Otay Valley Regional Park, the less of the policing problem we're going to have. Any comments on the part of policy committee members? If not, I see John Zarum there, who's the chair of the Citizens Advisory Committee. John, you want to give us your report?
Sure. At our last meeting, we wanted to select a vice chair because the position is vacant, but we didn't have a quorum, so we weren't able to do that. So the members that are on, think about whether you'd like the position of vice chair, and at our next meeting, we'll attempt to select it, to vote for one. And I agree. Our biggest issue is the homeless and whether the park is safe or not. I've done some reports and sent them out to various people on the call here about what I've discovered out there. It's good to see that we have a lot of actions going on to deal with the homeless. That's what I have.
Okay, any questions for John? If not, I'm not sure what members we have from the Citizens Advisory Committee, but if there are any member comments, now would be a good opportunity to share those comments, questions. Okay, don't see any.
Supervisor Cox, Rick Richardson, I'd like to make a brief comment.
Sure, go ahead.
Just want to say thank you to the intergovernmental teams from the county and the cities on all the work that's being done to expand the Otay Valley Regional Park, especially to the east, the trail network going out to the east, and also addressing the displaced persons, the homeless encampments. It's very much appreciated, and that I still have that vision of when we're going to get it all connected. And I know, Supervisor, that's been your vision. We definitely need to continue to make these improvements and move in that direction. And every single trail user that I've talked to when I've been out on my mountain bike, that's what they talk about. They talk about public safety and the homeless, and they talk about extending the park, the great elements of the park, and just keep extending it east and connecting it all the way up to that new Boy Scout park. So really appreciate that. And I see Ben on there, and I know Ben's organization is also out there on the trails when it's safe, and probably shares the same concerns. Thank you.
Ben, I see you want to make some comments. Thank you, Rick.
Sure. Thank you, Supervisor. We've been able to run our actual mountain bike trips are some of the few programs that we can run right now. COVID. with social distancing. And so we've been doing some of those out in the OVRP. And we feel that it is safe as long as we're in our group areas, and we're doing that closely on the western portion. But just wanted to make that comment that it's, OVRP is still a great space right now for the youth to get outside, out on the trail. Thank you.
Very good. Any other committee member comments? I wanted to pick up on a point that Rick just brought up. I don't think we have any graphics that show this, but several years ago, we were able to bring together a number of the resource agencies that have responsibilities for property east of the Otay Reservoir. I think we've talked previously about the East Otay Trail Alignment Study that's been going on. It's pretty massive. It's a little over 72,000 acres. It's about 2.5 times the size of the Otay Ranch. It's about 2 or 3 times the size of the entire city and county of San Francisco. And it's involved a planning effort between the City of San Diego Water Utilities, County of San Diego, U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, California Fish and Wildlife Service, Bureau of Land Management, SDG&E, Otay Municipal Water District. I'm probably missing 2 or 3 others. But they've actually come to some agreement, and Brian, you correct me if I'm wrong, but I think they've kind of agreed on upwards of about 88 miles of trails that could be accommodated within that 72,000 acres. Most of that land has been set aside, at least the resource agency owned land is set aside because there's habitat, there's birds, there's plants, there's other mammals that are protected in those areas. And obviously we want people to stay away from those areas, but there's also a vast amount of that area that could be used for trails. Since we've got the agreement from the resource agencies, we've been working to see if we could get approximately $450,000 to $500,000 to do the environmental study that needs to be done before we can even begin to do any of those trails, at least legal trails, because I'm sure there's illegal trails that are already there. It appears that the Wildlife Conservation Board, when they have their meeting in February, is poised to approve a grant request that the County of San Diego, Brian and his people have submitted for $450,000. So we'll keep our fingers crossed on that. And I'm sure as we get closer, we'll ask the City of Chula Vista and City of San Diego, Vivian, to write some letters of support. Brian, do you have anything you want to add to that?
Well, I guess, Mr. Chairman, I would just add that that amount of land, when you look at it collectively, is actually larger than the entire existing county park system right now. And so it's really important that we provide some public access. And it's been a long time effort involving a number of public agencies in addition to the 3 jurisdictions that are here today. And I'll just say, I have spoken repeatedly with the Wildlife Conservation Board folks. I visit their offices every time I'm up north, and have tried for a long time to get a commitment to fund the next phase of the project unsuccessfully. And so I would be remiss if we didn't thank you for your personal involvement in that. And seeing that through to the end. And I have no doubt that without your work, we would not be seeing it on the February agenda. So I thank you for that. And I realize we're getting pretty close to the end of the agenda as well. And I don't have this on the agenda, but I would also be remiss, since this is going to be my last meeting with you as the chairman, to just say thank you for everything you've done, and to let everybody that's on this call aware of yet another thing in the long list of Greg Cox accomplishments and awards. This past month, Greg received the Robert Arts Park and Trails Advocate Award, which is a national award that is given to only one person in the country for park and trail advocacy over a long term. And we were so proud to have one of our own receive that, because it is such a big deal. And I want to say thank you for your leadership and And I hope you'll continue to be involved after moving on to the next phase, because there's lots of work still to be done. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Brian. And to maybe respond to your question there, I'm still going to be around. I don't have any job prospects. I'm looking forward to retirement, but I will certainly be involved in a lot of these projects we've all been working on over these last few years. This will be my last meeting as a member of the policy committee. I don't want to prejudge anything. I know Councilman Diaz has been in a tough re-election race, and I know he's last time I saw maybe 900 votes behind. I wish, Mike, I wish you well. Hope you can catch up, but if you don't, we want to thank you for your service on the policy committee these last 4 years. You've done a tremendous job, and again, I think you can look with pride on the things that we've gotten done in the Otay Valley Regional Park and other things that you've been involved with in the city of Chula Vista. And I think the homeless facility, assuming we can get over that last hurdle and getting the sign off from the resource agencies, is really to your credit. I don't know whether you have any other comments you want to make, Councilman?
No, thank you, Supervisor Greg Cox. Yeah, we have accomplished a lot of things together. In my 4 years, we've been also able to accomplish a lot of things here in the city of Chula Vista. But, at the end of the day, I'm not in charge. God's in charge of my life. My job just to follow his direction, go through the doors that he asked me to go through. And sometimes we do it, pawing and scratching. But this is just another chapter of my life. It's not the book. It's just one little piece. Well, thank you for those kind words.
Thank you, Councilman. I still look forward to working with you on some of these things as private citizens. Councilwoman Moreno, do you have any closing comments?
Yeah, absolutely. I had the honor of presenting our supervisor with a proclamation very early on last January, and it seemed kind of early and it seemed out of place, but I'm really glad that we were able to acknowledge you in the community in person in January of last year. But I do want to take a moment to acknowledge you, Supervisor Cox. You've been a long time Otay Valley Regional Park Policy Committee Chair, and you were the chairman of the committee from 1988 to 1990. Then, for those of you who don't know, he came back in 1995 to present time. And, over the years, Supervisor, you've worked passionately to create a robust system of trails that's being recognized. I'm very happy for that, not only for hikers, but for bicyclists. And it's thanks to your leadership, we have projects that are moving forward, such as the Otay Lakes Campground and our Bike Skills Park. And I just want to let everybody know here that Supervisor Cox has been in public service for over 40 years. He did earn his bachelor's and master's degree from San Diego State University, only to return to the South Bay as a teacher in Sweetwater Union High School. And during his time as an educator, Supervisor Cox taught in my community, Montgomery Junior High School, and he also served as the Dean of Activities at my alma mater, Bonita Vista High School. Supervisor, I can go on and on about all the wonderful things you have done here in the South Bay. And I know you continue to reside in Chula Vista, and I know that the Coxes don't retire, right? You're gonna be on our speed dial, but I truly, as a council member from the city of San Diego, do appreciate your commitment to public service, and you've really exemplified the importance of serving this community. And I just want to thank you for all the work you have done, and I look forward to continuing to work with you on OVRP, because as we learned in this meeting, we still have a ways to go. But thank you very much for your service. We appreciate it.
Thank you very, very, very much for your kind comments. I appreciate that. I would point out that City of Chula Vista does have one vacancy. The County of San Diego will have one vacancy because, and I don't know whether he's here today or not, but Bob Miller is completing his second tour and we'll need to step off at least for a year. But at the January meeting or February meeting, whenever that's set up, the next meeting of the policy committee, Vivian, I would hope that you could present him with a certificate of appreciation for his service. He's been a member of this Citizens Advisory Committee for a long, long time, and he's been a good contributor over the years. So do we have anything else for the good of the cause? If not, I don't think we have the date set for the next policy committee meeting, and that's probably just as well because there's going to be a couple of new people coming on board, so we'll leave it up to our respective staffs to get together and figure out the appropriate time for the next meeting of the Otay Valley Regional Park Policy Committee. But I sincerely thank all of you at the staff level, my colleagues on the policy committee, the Citizens Advisory Committee members, for all the hard work that you've been doing over the years. The Otay Valley Regional Park, I think, Vivian, you said it best. It's going to be better than Mission Trails Park by the time we get done with it. And I think it's something we can all take a great deal of pride in and realize that we've all had a role in creating something that our community really, really needed and we'll really appreciate. So if there's nothing else to come before us today, we will stand adjourned to the next meeting whenever that is set up. Thank you all for your attendance today. See ya.
Thank you.
Bye now.